Okay.
I want to piggyback on this Line 6 thing.
Okay.
I want to talk about something. I want to talk about this is kind of the opening to this new generation, I think, of these modelers and processors.
Okay.
So I feel like very early, generation 1 was the pod, the old bean, the kidney bean.
Right.
And then we moved forward and we had the Helix that came out right around the time, Boss put their version of that stuff out.
Right.
We had the Kempers. The first Kempers came out. Now we've got a new version of the Kemper coming out. We've got this new version of the Helix coming out. I don't know what generation technically we would call this, but we definitely have a new generation at this point.
I'd say we're like generation 3 or so.
Yeah, I would agree. So, and then all the Axe-Fx stuff. We haven't even talked about Axe-Fx.
Right.
So, I think we are at a new generation of modelers. And I kind of wonder, have we seen that great of improvement with this new generation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Completely.
Okay. Where's your improvement? I'm not disagreeing with you. But where
Is this like a yes or no question?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's completely changed.
Yeah. I think it's
Look
been
at the
huge.
little bean.
Yep.
Man, you know what that reminds me of is the Line 6 spiders.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
A Line 6 spider.
Yeah,
Kind of.
similar. I saw a funny thing the other day, and it made me think, like, it had a picture of the old kidney bean, Line 6 pod, and it said, the advertisement was, sounds just like an amp. And then it moved to, whatever, I think it might have been the Kemper, and it was like, sounds just like an amp. And then it moved to the Helix, and it's like, sounds just like an amp. And then it moved to the Quad Cortex, it says, sounds just like an amp.
Right.
And then here we are now with this new generation, secondary Kemper, secondary Helix, doing all this stuff. And now we're saying,
Sounds just like an
sounds
amp.
just like an amp. If the first one sounded just like an amp, why are we still trying to improve it?
Right.
So, yeah, obviously they don't sound and feel just like amps. But, man, I think this new generation of stuff has made drastic improvements. I think the biggest improvement, in my opinion, the biggest improvement is user interface.
Oh, for sure.
It's not even the sounds. The sounds were great once we hit that first Kemper, hit the first Axe-Fx. They were great. Were they just like an amp? Of course not. Nothing is just like an amp behind you with your ears hearing it from the speaker, the guitar speaker, not just PA speakers. Nothing is like that. However, I think the user interface has gotten way easier. We start moving into the Quad Cortex stuff where you can just drag and drop. All those little foot switches are basically knobs. From what this new Helix Stadium looks like, it looks fantastic too as a user interface.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I see the biggest improvements, honestly, over anything.
Like being user friendly.
Yeah, just you can go in and just start working it. I mean, it kind of makes me wonder where it's going to lead to for the next. I mean, where do you go? We always say that, but I honestly don't. I've had opinions and thoughts on where they might go after this last Helix and after these last few things, but I don't know where in the world they're going to move for the next
With this
generation.
new stadium, it's hard telling where it's going to go. Because honestly, it sounds like it can do pretty much anything. You can have presets. You can have individual effect pedals. You can have an amp. Not to mention it's all touchscreen. So there's even like a hype situation on there. Have you heard about that?
Hype situation. I think I
So,
read something about it, but I don't know about it.
Kind of the way I understand it, this is based off videos I've watched, but like there's an amp that's in the pedal, okay? Well, a lot of people will complain saying that doesn't sound like the amp. So they have made a hype scenario that you can turn up where they think it gets closer to the sound in the people's heads than it actually sounds recorded. Because people have this
hyped up thing in their mind about it.
So they literally have this hype situation, which is probably smart to the
company,
because they're trying to adapt to other people, but they're like, that's not really what it sounds like. We've done the testing.
Yeah.
So they've got this hype scenario. So now we're even trying to it's kind of like, you know how you're talking and your phone listens to you, and then the next thing you know, like the product that you're looking at is on your phone.
Are we in a conspiracy theory right now?
I'm just saying, government's listening, man.
Not to me. They're not listening to me. And I
Okay.
hate to tell you, but they're not listening
Maybe
to you
it's not
either.
the government,
Yeah.
but it's our Amazon and stuff
Okay.
like that. But
okay.
I think that's kind of where it's probably leading. Is like, we suggest this for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's almost got some AI built in.
Yeah.
And it's like, based on what you have liked in the past, we think you like this new patch.
Yeah. Yeah, and the ability to capture amps has been great through all these different modelers and stuff, but it's always a snapshot. I guess Quad Cortex, supposedly they were supposed to be moving knobs, and like it was the most accurate because they, set up the models where, well, this is what it sounds like when the volume knob's here and versus here. When you've got a Kemper, whatever the snapshot is your snapshot, and
Right.
then you're turning down bass and volumes and stuff. I'm not for sure about the new Kempers. That might be different, but first generation Kemper. Yeah, so all that stuff is getting closer. That hype is kind of an interesting concept.
I mean, you think about it, a lot of people think a Marshall sounds like Friedman.
Yeah.
You and I both know
Mm-mm.
Marshall and Friedman, while they're in the same vein, Friedman sounds like it's
It's
processed. It's
Yep.
it's
It's
that
mixed,
direct sound.
mixed and mastered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the inconsistencies that Marshall has.
Yeah, I think that's why more people lend towards Friedman than Marshall.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you get used to the inconsistencies of some of these old amps,
The harmonics.
you go into playing some of these amps that have been hyped. I kind of like this.
Yeah.
Some of these amps have been hyped. You realize, like, ooh, that's, I don't want to say sterile, but
You
sterile.
just say sterile.
Yeah.
I'm done with you.
Sterile?
Sterile.
I don't want to say that they're sterile, but they're different. They're different. I don't know. And then some scenarios I like that. Some of those, I struggle with Vox tones sometimes, like plain Vox tones. And some of those old vintage Voxes, like I kind of struggle with a little bit. And then we go and play some of these different amps that are based on Voxes, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, Vox is really unique.
Vox is unique.
I feel like a lot of people, go into modelers and you're looking at Fender and Marshall typically, right? Vox is one I feel like still no one's got right.
No, it feels like every time I play a modeler version of a Vox, I'm always like,
Does it really sound like a Vox?
it's not that good.
Right.
It's kind of like the Dumbles. Like, I played a modified Dumble one time, but not like a built from the floor up.
Right.
It was a Fender that was modded by Dumble, supposedly. However, every time I play a modeler and it's supposed to be a Dumble amp, I'm always like, I got a feeling it doesn't sound anything like this.
Right.
I don't know.
No, I feel like all the modelers are pretty good for their basic sounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like there's lots of room to grow in even if you're modeling like a Dr. Z amp.
Yeah.
A train wreck.
Oh, Trainwreck be tough.
You know what I mean? Like,
Problem is responsiveness with stuff like Trainwrecks, because the speaker responding with your guitar,
but I don't think they can. How do you do that?
you don't.
That's what I'm saying.
You can get a full range flat response, full range, whichever one is FR cab,
Right.
and stick it behind you. But that's basically a PA speaker. You're sticking your guitar next to, like, yes, it's okay. It's better than nothing. It's better than nothing back there. But it's not the same as a guitar cabinet resonating.
It's not, but I mean, you're trying to, again, simulate.
But then why
something.
don't you just have an amp behind you? That's what I don't understand with those FR cabs. Everybody's like, yeah, but if you need like the resonance between your guitar and your modeler, just stick an FR cab behind you. Like, wait a minute.
Aren't we back to where we were?
Now you're carrying this modeler and you're carrying this cab with you, plus your pedal board and everything. Like, couldn't we have just carried an amp and a pedal board?
Hey, listen, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying there's more to it than you think.
I understand that.
There's more to it. It's nice having your own monitor and to have something situated for exactly what you got.
I get it. But it's just, it's nice having sound behind you, like an amp, versus just coming out of your wedge or your ears.
Well, and that's kind of the thought, right?
But new generation, I think, is here. I think this is the start of the new generation. I think the next thing, HX Stomp, is coming, like we just talked about a little bit ago.
Right.
I think there's a new generation of that coming.
I mean, if that can be touchscreen, That would be a game
It
changer.
would be. I think it's going to be more expensive again.
Oh, for sure.
Hold on to your hats, folks. It's
Yeah.
going to get more expensive.
Everything will.
It always has and it always will. And then I think Boss is due probably for a new modeler before too long. I don't think they are near as popular as some of the other ones.
Mm-mm.
But I think there's a new generation coming up. I just want to kind of touch base with it. We were talking about the stadium. I was like, this feels like we should jump on this topic now
Yeah, that's fair.
because, yeah, it kind of meshes with it.